And it is my honor to introduce Will Lewis. So I'm not sure if Will knows this or not, but I consider him a mentor. He has been incredibly helpful in developing the ERG Summit and the content and helping us really think through what people need, not just from an academic point of view. Looks like I got muted, sorry. He has a great appreciation for research, and I think that's probably why he's been incredibly helpful to me in bringing research and practice together. Will is Experian's Chief Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Officer. And what I love about the role he has now is that he's not just helping the employees, but he's involved in driving innovation in product development. And I follow him on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I see all the things Experian's doing try to really engage a diverse community. And that's very important for the work that we're doing. He also is involved in numerous advisory boards, including one that we started for the summit. So Will, without further ado, I want to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And no, I did not know that. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Hey, everyone, welcome to the summit. Like, this is really exciting, isn't it? I know, I wish, you know what? Do you all have the clappy hands? If you're excited, show me some kind of clappy hand or something like that. I don't know. Clap your hands in person if you're able to, so I can even see that much. You know, one of the things that I see clappy hands showing up as well. That's cool. One of the things I really miss about being able to be together, as many of us being able to be together in person as we used to, is kind of the energy and the engagement that I always got from being in person. I know there are many folks that are in person for this conference and some of us that are virtual. On the flip side, what's really fantastic is that we're able to engage more people. We know that travel budgets are tight for some organizations and companies. So this is a great way to get the learning out there and have you really be engaged, even if you can't travel too. So the commitment here that I got from both Teresa and Jennifer is to be sure that no matter where you are, no matter where you're calling from, no matter how you're engaged, that you're going to get the same fantastic experience. So whether you're in person, whether you're virtual, you're going to walk away from this conference learning something and walking away with something. Hey, I want to start off by formally welcoming you to the engagements today. And what I want to do is, instead of talking a lot about what the conference is going to deliver, because our hosts really have done that so fantastically already, I want to talk about the lens you should wear coming into this conference, how you should be thinking and how you should be engaged as you're thinking through this. Take a moment right now. If you have a piece of paper in front of you or your telephone or your iPad or however you take your notes, take a moment and write down one thing that you hope to learn from the event this week. What's one thing you hope to learn from this week's event? And then after you thought about that and you wrote that down for yourself, put it in the chat. What's one thing that you're hoping to learn this week? Now, as you're thinking about that, and as you're putting things into the chat around how you hope to learn, I see some things coming in now, how to engage execs, how to better reward our BRG leaders, connecting ERGs to communities, how to make it valuable, strategies, effective group leadership, how to promote and engage others to participate in ERGs, networking for best practices, strategic framework. Let's start with that one, strategic framework. And I think that'll lead us into the rest of them, and keep putting them in there because I'm going to go back and reference these in a second. You know, here's what I would tell you. Think about yourself and think about the job that you had that you felt like when you started it, you most understood after your orientation period, how to get things done. What are some of the elements that job or that orientation or onboarding period had? I bet you there are a couple of things you'll say. I had a clear understanding and definition of what my role was. I understood what the other people I had to interact with every day, what their role was. I knew where the lines of accountability were. These are all things that you were probably thinking in that job. By the way, I just gave you 3 tips that I'm going to be talking about with ERGs here during our chat right now. So I hope you were capturing those. And as you're thinking about that, our ERGs, BRGs, employee networks, whatever you refer to them inside your organization, are really no different, right? We have a host of volunteers who have day jobs that they're all trying to do. And they're really engaged, wanting to do better for the organization, wanting to learn and grow themselves, wanting to do better for the communities outside of the walls of the organization as well. Really, what our opportunity here is to, as leaders in ERGs, is to work to try and make it easier. And someone out there right now is listening and saying, okay, well, so far that sounds like a great plan, but I can't get my senior leaders in my company to engage in the way I want them to engage. So let's start out by painting the picture. The picture is you have this great plan and this great work you want to do. And you're trying to influence other people to both join your ERGs, but also senior leaders to endorse and support your ERGs. The question really is, how do you position this in a way that makes it important and helpful to them? And I think you can do both, right? If you're talking to senior leaders, they want engaged, high employees. They want employees that are highly productive. They want employees that are helping make the culture and the atmosphere and the environment of the company better. If you talk to employees, they want a company they feel like they can be a part of. They want to feel as if the work they do matters. They want to feel as if they can move things forward. Well, notice there's a connect point between those two things, right? Our job as ERG leaders is to simply create the framework for that to happen. Here's what I would tell you as you think about this conference over the next couple of days. Try and listen for things that'll feed you the framework that you need to really try and drive that forward. Listen for items that you can then take and say, I can apply that. Now notice, most people, if you're anything like me, you come in and you want to boil the ocean. Here are the 25 things I am going to do because we're going to make this fantastic. And then by the end of the year, you're so tired, you cannot limp towards New Year's break to like take some time off because you're just so exhausted. I'm saying stop, don't do that. Instead, as you think about your framework, maybe that's the first thing you need to do. And maybe that's what you do for the next 6 months, is you take time and you build out what that framework is. So that framework should include some of those elements I mentioned earlier, but also include things like how do employees even know that our ERGs exist? How do employees engage with our ERGs once they know it exists? And what are a couple of the key roles that we'll have within our ERGs, right? Keep it really simple, really succinct, and remove the friction. I like to call it a frictionless experience from an employee joining an ERG. And once you have them joining the ERGs, choose a couple of great leaders that are also the volunteers that help lead your individual ERGs, and really give them the tools, kind of protect them from all the fray of politics that some of you may have inside of your organizations to help them drive along the way. What you're going to get from the next couple of days of sessions are really opportunities to do just that. People are going to talk about those specific things. So I said that I want you to come in this and think about this from your perspective. Put yourself in the shoes of a great organizer, no matter what role you hold, whether you're an executive sponsor, whether you are a person that's thinking about starting an ERG at your organization, or if you're responsible for leading the ERGs, or even if your job in the company is to run the ERGs and that's your full-time job, but you feel overwhelmed with how do you get it all done. Come into these sessions over the next couple of days with a blank mind, taking notes around how you can implement that framework, and then give yourself time at the end of the conference. At the end of the conference, sit down for about an hour with your notes and say, okay, here are all the things that I heard that I thought were key. And here are the 1, 2, no more than 3 things I am going to work to apply at my organization in the next 6 months. I caution you, don't try and do everything all at once, because you'll be boiling the ocean, right? Think about it in 6 months chunks. In the next 6 months, I'm going to do these things, and this is how I know they'll be successful. Like actually put success markers in there. And then in the next 6 months, do the same thing. Now, here's what's key. At the end of the first 6 months, so between now and February or so, think to yourself, who's going to be my accountability partner? who's the person either inside or outside my organization that I am going to say, here's what I'm doing. And then come February, end of February, you can go to that person and say, here's what I did. And they're going to hold you accountable. Because sometimes, right, we get so caught up in the doing that we forget that, wait a minute, what did I say I was going to do? Right? You get lost out there in the things. That's what some people in IT call scope creep. Keep yourself focused and maybe even schedule key check-ins with your accountability partner to be sure you're actually doing what you said you were going to do. I think if you take that approach, it'll help you really move forward. Now, so those are some tips I have for you going into the conference. I want to start out by, I want to wrap my section up by saying this. I think this is a fantastic forum and a fantastic conference. I actually believe I was in El Segundo at the Mattel conference all those many years ago. And what I remember was the data-driven approach to driving ERGs that was so valuable. That's one of the things you're going to learn about during our time together here today is how to use data to be able to apply it to what you're doing. It's an exciting time for ERGs. Corporations have come so far over the past decade and how they look at ERGs and the importance of ERGs. You all are each sitting in a position where you can drive immediate impact. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that your companies have made the investment to have you here as well. This is an amazing organization and there's tons and tons to learn. I'm looking forward to learning myself. I hope you are as well. Welcome to Summit and go make a mark. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Will.